Okay, we're on the air with Phonism, the guys who immediately perfect. Oh, that's your construction guys. We'll live with that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Steve and Nick Lazardis, thank you for joining us on VUC. Welcome for your first show.
How you doing?
Thank you, Randy.
Thanks for having us.
Now, this is a fantastic. Everybody's very interested in this because it's something new. I'm not aware of anybody else doing this. Doesn't mean they're not, but I've never heard about any of this kind of thing being done. But before we get into phonism, it would be good to say something about how either or both of you came into anything to do with telephony and phones and so on. You have a background in it, or is it something you got a passion for, or what?
Well, we've always had a passion for it because we have family overseas that lived in Greece, and since the early on internet days, we were always trying to find some way to talk to them inexpensively, because back then the call rates were just outrageous.
Yep.
So
as an expat, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, we messed around with what was it, the Sound Blaster?
It's sound a little box. It was like a VoIP endpoint box.
That was like 15 years
ago. It was made. Sound Blaster was the brand. I don't remember the exact model, but we played around with soft phones, ATAs, just a variety. Professionally, we haven't. This is my first venture into the VoIP industry. I'm a software engineer by trade, and the way we started Phonism is my brother Nick he's an IT admin, and he was deploying VoIP all over the place, and he was seeing a lot of problems with endpoint management, and I guess he can continue to start like that's how deployments, and he approached me about solving that problem, and I guess that's kind of how we really got into VoIP as far as Phonism and creating the product and entering the industry.
Nick, what systems? That's interesting. A lot of people here would be curious what systems you've messed with.
So Since then, we've played around with a few different systems, but when I first started out, I rolled out a switchbox system, and as most of you know, it's like voice over IP for dummies. But even still, we at my company we hired a consulting firm to help us, and one of the things that really stuck out to me was how difficult it was to configure the phones if you didn't have the switchbox tokens. So we deployed that first switchbox, and then in my company we deployed a couple of others, and we quickly learned to purchase the switchbox tokens. But I always thought that there should be something like this for everyone, and even better than the switchbox tokens
for all PBXs.
So and that's how Steve and I discussed it, and then we brought on our friend Bill, and we began building this thing.
Yeah. So that's
okay, cool.
How, yep.
And I think we can all understand, everyone on the channel can understand the need for the help with provisioning and some kind of an interface. So let's get started and get into Phonism and what it is and what it can do, and starting maybe with target audience and moving on from there.
Sure. So when we first started Phonism, we thought, well, this would be a great tool for people that use Asterisk and other open source PBXs, because that's where we felt that the market was really lacking, or at least there weren't any tools out there like this. So we built it, and we actually we went to IT Expo last year, and
Well,
no, it was
earlier,
this year,
yeah.
but it was IT Expo East, and we got a lot of feedback from people there, and the more people we spoke with, the more we realized that this is a much bigger problem. It's more than it affects more people than just the open source community and open source PBXs. So we spoke with BroadSoft customers. We've actually spoken to BroadSoft, a BroadSoft provider, and it sounds like they experience the same problems. And BroadSoft, as you guys know, is probably the largest, or has the largest market share in terms of hosted PBX. So we've after IT Expo, we sat around and talked about it a little more and figured out how we could solve some of their problems, and we've kind of changed the way that
the way that the product works. Essentially, one of the big things that that everybody wanted was a multi-tenanted application, and it was directed towards single-tenant users. Ideally, like Nick was saying, we were targeting companies that have one office, two offices, essentially Switchbox users, or just Asterisk users on any platform. And then after IT Expo, with all the feedback and more user requirements, mostly targeted around bigger customers for multi-tenanted support for several different types of phones, etc. So we kind of switched development. We changed development direction, and we rewrote some of the core to support multiple tenants, and that's where we are today. And we're pre-beta right now, so this is super exciting for us.
So the target markets that we think right now that Phonism fits into would be more resellers and hosted providers. We've even spoken to a couple of PBX manufacturers that expressed some interest into integrating with Phonism. So
yeah.
Really, there's been interest from all over the board.
Yeah.
Question that everybody's asking is when the, by the way, that's the comments screen I was talking about. Beta, when can they expect those of us who've signed up eagerly? Is that
yes.
with respect to the show that you're about to do?
That's right. So we're releasing beta Q4 this year. So soon, very soon. We don't have a specific.
That's like in 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, we don't have a specific date yet. I wish I could say a date, but right now the state of Phonism is we're 3 guys that work nights and weekends on it. So this is a side project. We all have our day jobs as well. So
we eventually want to make it our day jobs, but
yeah, that's the goal.
But right now we do it part-time, and we're still very dedicated to it. But it is a part-time project for us, and we're actually seeking funding as well. We recently found out that we're going to be pitching. We got selected to pitch at Startup Camp 6 in Austin next month.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll be the start of something good, and we can find some investors.
Yeah, we're super excited about that. We had actually attempted to enter Startup Camp 5 in Miami earlier this year at IT Expo, and we made the pre-list, and we didn't make the final list, but afterwards we went to the show, obviously, and we went to and saw all the pitches, and we met Larry Lisser, and he was great, and he was really excited about Phonism, and you know, he really motivated us on applying for next year as well, and well, this year, later this year essentially, and we got selected for October, so we're going to be pitching at Startup Camp 6.
Speaking of people who are trying to be courageous and do their job, I hear your guys are not taking lunch outside. It's okay, you're perfectly hearable.
Actually, sorry about that. There's some construction out of the house, outside of the house.
No problem. I interrupted, though, to ask a question from Steve Sokol of Digium, who says, have you looked at the new Digium phones, the DPMA module, and how that could be integrated to offer a full range of asterisk features, visual voicemail, call queues, parking, etc.? I don't know. Answer the first part first, I guess, which is the Digium phones. Are they going to be working with Phonism?
Well, we have not. We've seen the module, and we were there when they announced it at IT Expo as well. We saw the phones, but we have not worked to integrate those phones yet. We hope so, because we are building a platform that is going to be phone and PBX agnostic. So we will be able to work with any phone or any PBX that we can talk to out there. That is our ultimate goal.
That sounds great. Let's get into the meat of this a little bit. Whatever intro you want to give, and then some demo, because I know you've got the screen set up, so we can actually see what's going on.
Let me go ahead and set up the screen share here. Just a sec. Okay, can you guys see that? Is that clear?
Absolutely. I think it's certainly good enough for the for the demo. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what you're seeing now is a login. This is our cloud front end. This is what you'll see when you log into the product. This demo account that is set up right now is set up to manage multiple tenants. So you can manage each tenant that you want to, as well as details about their phones and users, etc. So just a brief overview of how Phonism works. We have we've developed a piece of software that we call the Phonism agent. So our agents, what it is, you install it on your network. It's an application that runs as a Windows service or a Linux daemon, and that application is essentially our, it's our way to get into your network to talk to the phones. It acts as a proxy. He's, our trooper in the trenches. So he is the guy that talks to the phones locally on the subnet. He is he's the way that he communicates with the cloud. So if you want to, for example, let's say you have to reboot one of your phones, you can just click, there's a reboot here where you can just reboot the phone directly. And you get prompted. So you can manage details like that without having your user reboot the phone or unplug it from the PoE switch or whatever. Now we've also built in details to where you can, for example, let's just talk about on a higher level. So you have agents, and you can have an agent on different subnets. Right now, I just have 2 agents here, and you can set up users, and users can be administrators of a given tenant, or just a regular user. Administrators of a tenant can manage phones for that tenant. But users, of course, they can only manage the phone that belongs to them. And users, we only give limited access to users. It's essentially customization like you would do on your cell phone, backgrounds, ringtones, your contact database, and stuff like that for just the users. And we have what we call phone templates, and these templates are configuration templates for phones. So let's say that you have an office in Miami that uses a given SIP server, or and there's you want to set that up and apply that SIP server to all of your phones in Miami. So you would come in and let's just say there's one line there. You would configure the SIP server setting there, and in your phones list, you can select the phones and then just apply a template to them, the Miami office template, and that'll apply the Miami office template to them. Okay. And as you can see, the template changed here. And we also give kind of just some usability things. You can change the template in line for each phone, etc. Now, and you'll notice that the reboot icons are red now because, with the Polycom firmware, especially this version of the software, 3.2.3, that these phones are running, an older version, you have to reboot the phone to get the new configuration, right? So some of the newer versions you don't have to reboot. Now we also let me bring up kind of an edit view of the given phone. Well, this is the 330. Let me just pull up the 550 here. Okay, so this is just kind of some detailed phone settings. You kind of very similar to what the template had. There's some line stuff, user IDs, some advanced settings and stuff like that. We also have contact lists, backgrounds on the phones. You can manage a background on the phone. Here we have Leonidas, and we also have customization of ringtones. Now the ringtones, we have built-in ringtones for the given brand of phone, and then you can upload your own MP3s, and we convert them to the given the audio format that the phone requires. And you just simply, drag and this guy has one line enabled, so you apply that to the line, and then that line has that ringtone. Okay, and then we also give some troubleshooting logs, a view of the phone logs itself for administrators to troubleshoot. Obviously, users don't see this, but the tenant administrators and the multi-tenant administrators can see this troubleshoot data. So yeah, that's some of the control that we allow on the phones. Now, let's see. Okay, so let me show you the tenants tab where you can manage tenants. Now, this is where you can add or manage your tenants for however many tenants you have as either customers, or you can consider tenants as different offices across the world or the nation. And we have some just basic general information for your address and contact information. But this right here is very convenient. This is phone defaults, and these are just some high-level things that we found that a lot of the people that we talk to, this is something that they always configure. Just the basic SIP server stuff, an NTP server, and the digit map is really important. So just some simple phone defaults, and this means what you enter here, every phone that gets added to the system automatically inherits this stuff. And as well, like the phone templates that I showed you before, when you apply a template to any of your phones, they inherit those settings in the templates as well. Now,
so those default settings can be overwritten.
Of course, and they can be obviously different for each tenant, and you can also put detailed for each phone. You can, if you have one phone, you want to do a simple test you're bringing up another SIP server, and you want to test one phone, you just go in and change the SIP server for that given phone. Now, part of what we're trying to do with Phonism is automate as much of the setup for the phones as possible. So one of the key things that the agent does, so when you install an agent on your server at your office, the agent listens for the phones. So essentially it scans the network for phones that are on that subnet. And once it detects those phones, it pushes that information for that phone up to the cloud. Okay? So when you log into your account on the cloud, you see your phones there. The agent, you didn't have to go into the cloud and enter a MAC address and possibly fat finger the MAC address and make a typo. None of that is going to be required with the Phonism and the agent. You're just going to get it automatically because he's going to detect them. Okay. So, and obviously you do have the option to do old school manual provisioning as well. By manual provisioning, I mean the agent is not responsible for talking to your phone or rebooting the phone or whatever. So if you want to enter if you want to manually manage one of your phones, you could choose manual manage here, manual provision, and then you would have to manually go into your phone settings either through the phone's web server or through the phone's menu to set your provisioning parameters. But we all know that that is a huge pain, and actually that's one of the big reasons we developed Phonism. So that kind of is a high level.
If you're using the agent, once the agent discovers all your phones and pushes them up to Phonism, then it's as easy as applying a template to those phones and then rebooting them, and
that's right. That's
basically
right.
the provisioning.
Yeah, that's right. So if you have a template for each office, a template for Miami, a template for New York, a template for Spain, whatever, you can just apply those to the phones as the phones get discovered by the agent, and then reboot those phones, and those phones will end up getting the configuration. So that kind of gives kind of a high-level overview of what we're doing. Do you guys? We're open to questions. Do you guys have any questions or comments?
How do you get the DHCP scopes set up appropriately for the phones to get back to Phonism so that they can be found, or do you do something pushed out, or what?
We actually don't manage the DHCP addresses for the phone. What we do is we reply with the correct boot P server. So if your server, your DHCP server is set up and it's distributing addresses, as long as it's not distributing the boot server, then there won't be then the agent will catch that DHCP request and respond with the boot server as well. We don't respond with the IP address. That's the DHCP server's job. So we just essentially discover the phones through the boot P request, and then we respond with the correct boot P server, and we tell them to go to phonism.com.
Right. So I have multiple phones. I tell their DHCP scopes to point to you for the DHCP scope for the boot P server.
No, actually you don't. The agent automatically sends that message to the phones. So the phones, when they do a boot P request, one of the options that they ask for is the boot server, option 66. So we respond with a DHCP frame to that phone, and we tell them.
How do you know where to respond? How does the phone know how to get to you? I need to make this connection here. You know, thousands of different subnets, and
sure. So your DHCP server listens on the given port, right?
Yep.
67. I don't remember exactly.
Whatever.
So it listens on the port, and our Phonism server, our Phonism agent listens on that port as well.
So you have to be on all the local broadcast domains.
Oh yes, that's correct. We need an agent. I should have been more clear. We need one agent per subnet. Okay.
Okay. Can I do that virtually? Do I have to physically put a box in each one? I mean, you know, I got 600 locations and 1,000 subnets, and
it's software, so there's no need for a box. You just need to install the service. Now, But also, if you had a location for, let's say that you had a location that didn't have computers, it's just a phone in an office, you can manually provision that phone with Phonism.com. You don't have to use the agent at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I
yeah.
really hate manually provisioning phones, but
Well, I know, but that's the detriment. The agent is the only way we can actually communicate with the phones. So if you have an office that doesn't have a computer to install the agent on, and until
we have segregated networks. We got all phones on one side and computers on the other side, and never the two shall talk.
I see.
We have I work for the Pennsylvania State University, and we have the luxury, I guess, of isolating the networks so that our phone traffic is never vulnerable with all the other junk that goes on in the internet. But I have the luxury of being able to configure the DHCP server however I want and put UDP helpers on, so that the remote location may not have the actual DHCP server. It's all centrally served anyway. So I could do the same thing maybe to bring back to your Phono server agent if I had it at one location, bring back either VLAN heads or DHCP forwarding via the router, UDP helper application on the router at each of the interfaces. I'm just worrying about putting out 1,000 of these things, having to support them, even if they're just a piece of software on somebody else's computer. I need to get it on the LAN, and there's a scale issue.
That's correct. I mean, that's a legitimate concern. Having to manage each installation as well, right? So if you can do that, as long as we can see and we can communicate with that subnet via your routing.
Okay, so you'll be getting things in a TCP packet instead of a UDP packet or an ICMP packet. If that's okay, then I can handle it from there. So.
We would have to see if it's TCP instead of UDP. We'd have to see. There may have to be some custom integration or a plugin to listen for your type of.
Okay, well maybe we can talk offline. We can do a little what if sort of white paper thing, and then
of course that's.
We have all this test equipment.
Yeah.
So,
no, that sounds great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
John is a great test case for scaling because he does have humongous network with a zillion endpoints.
55,000 phone numbers. It's not that big.
And he manually edits the extensions.conf every day.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, here's another convenience thing. So what we're trying to do is we're not only integrating and talking to the phones with the agent. We're trying to get him to where he's PBX agnostic. Right now, we support some features with Asterisk. Essentially, what we can do, just to ease your administration of the phones, is import your extensions from Asterisk. So the agent, if you tell him, let me just kind of explain it here visually. Let's say you have your agent, and you want to enter some PBX information here. Okay, this is the Asterisk PBX AMI API, right? You guys are familiar with the AMI, the Asterisk Management Interface? Okay, so you enter these credentials, and your agent will attempt to communicate with that Asterisk server, and he will import extensions from that Asterisk server, okay? And by importing the extensions, he uploads those extensions to the cloud. And what you can do is when you set up your phones and your phones are discovered by the agent and you see them in this list, they're not going to have an extension assigned to them. But what you can do, if they were imported from the agent, you could just assign an extension.
You could do that if you manually added the extensions as well.
Of course, you can manually add the extensions, but that saves you, the time is you don't have to sit here and edit the password and the SIP user ID or the SIP URI because that's automatically imported from Asterisk, right? We kind of stay in sync with Asterisk with the agent so that you don't have to potentially make a typo when you're trying to sync between your asterisk setup and your extensions.com for your SIP user ID and passwords versus your setup on the cloud. Right,
So
you don't have to enter that information twice. We import it for you.
Right. So is that something I could program with a SOAP interface or something to put a different interface than the asterisk AMI? So like to work with, I'll just name a few of the systems we have here: Broadsoft, Cisco, ESUS, Blink. I really hate to even admit we have that. It's so disgusting. OpenSIPs. Yeah, and there's also some asterisk here, but we probably only have 50 phones on asterisk.
Okay.
Now there's a whole bunch of soft phones, and we may get more in the future, but distributed asterisk systems are typically used as little piece parts. And then we have 18,000 phones on a Cisco and Avaya systems, which we're trying to shoot in the head, but not very successfully because they bleed so much maintenance money every year.
Okay.
And so we're doing things like an ESUS trial. Your interface looks exactly like the phone configuration interface in ESUS. It's like you guys wrote it and they used it, or did they license it from you, or?
Wow, that's very interesting. I haven't played with their product, so that's interesting.
Maybe I should send you some screen caps, because it's like,
yeah,
I did all this yesterday, but it said ESUS at the top instead of Phonism at the top. So, oops. All right, we'll see. I will get you some information.
Yeah, that's interesting. You currently, it integrates with Asterisk, but that's right now. That's what we're the protocol that we're talking now. We're building the agent to where he will have a plug-in architecture where he can support different types of different types of PBXs or endpoints to talk to. So those plugins. So we would
some future time there will be a programming interface that I could write to, that I could pull off of any database and feed your stuff with, so that my users don't have to enter, the administrators don't have to enter it once on each system. They just enter it once.
That's right.
You got it.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you folks familiar with Free Central by any chance?
Free Central, no, I've never heard of them. What do they do?
Well, Diana can speak. Question on RC. Now I'm trying to find the. No, let me see if let me try to unmute her real quick.
Sure.
I haven't been watching. Active participants. Yeah, Diana, here we go. This should be her. Mute.
Hello.
Come in, Diana.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, Diana.
Hello. So, Free Central happens to be an IP PBX based on Yate.
Based on Yate.
How did I know that question was coming? I was just about to ask that question. What about FreeSwitch and Yate?
Okay.
Well, wait a second. Why will anyone in Nord will want to use FreeSwitch when it has such a small amount of features compared to Yate?
I love it. Diana, you're adorable. You really are. Anyway, perfect. You like
really,
big PBXs, right?
Have you looked lately how many features we added? I mean, we even have SS7 for mobile networks. You can even do an MVNO these days. I mean, really, why will anyone want to use a system that is capable of just doing SIP?
Interesting.
That's a rhetorical question, hopefully.
Yes, I was.
Yeah, we've never
we've actually
never seen Free Central.
Yeah, interesting. We'll have to take a look at that and add it to our integration list. That's very interesting. Thanks for the tip.
So Diana, you mentioned maybe contacting them and talking to them. The guys have said that they may be at Astracon possibly for a day. We don't know how that's shaping up for them because there's another show they're doing. But in any case, let me reiterate that I will buy you dinner if you show up, Diana.
So let me ask you this.
So all you have to do is pay for $7,000 plane tickets.
Diana, you're supposed to say, yes, if you're buying me dinner, Randy, I will fly to Astracon immediately.
Of course, Digium will take care of it.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway, all humor aside, we should probably get back to phonism. So your question, you should let's not use the word hookup in this context. You should contact. You folks should be talking phonism and Yate and Free Central. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds great.
So we'll do all the email invites afterwards. Again, I'm showing just for the heck of it, better than looking at me, the comments, and we have a little bit of activity here. And in the IRC, I posted the URL so that you can follow all the comments on the 3 sources. Anyway, back to phonism to pick up where we left off. Any other questions before we do?
Yeah. Any other questions about the product or the markets we're going after, or just in general the problem we're looking to solve? I mean, we'd actually be interested in hearing how you guys tackle provisioning and endpoint management, in your networks.
One thing.
Go ahead.
Thanks. One thing that Phonism, it doesn't have a whole lot of management or monitoring capability right now, but eventually the agent will also monitor the phones.
Yeah, that's correct.
So it'll be a provisioning, monitoring, and management tool.
Right. Yeah,
we're trying to automate as much as we can.
Yeah.
And give you one interface to do that with.
Right. And a lot of that, like we had started out, we had initially done this for solving the pains of provisioning. But after IT Expo and after our local Asterisk group here in Tampa Bay, a lot of the things that they wanted was more than just provisioning. They want to be able to manage these endpoints. They want to be able to upgrade them. They want to be able to, monitor them, monitor the health of, maybe get call logs, etc. Some accounting around the usage of the phones. And those things are all on our roadmap. That's what we'll be building those features into the product as we move along. We're not just shooting just for provisioning here. We want to be full scale endpoint management system.
And automation.
And that's right. And automation with the agent. That's correct.
Guys, you had also mentioned I don't know where I saw this, that the person at the endpoint, the end user, or loser, as some geeks would say. That's terrible. I just mentioned that in passing because it shows the attitude of the IT guys. Anyway, the end user, that there's features for the end user to help configure as well. Did we cover that? Because I don't recall hearing about it yet.
Yes, that's correct. So, for example, the end user can log in and let's see here. The end user can log in and manage their, when the end user logs in, they can manage their contacts, backgrounds, and ringtones for their phones. Okay, and each end user has one phone or more than one phone belonging to him, but they can manage these 3 entities for their phones.
And that's all that's
all that we allow the users to do. Now, later on, we may see that users there needs to be more support for other features for users to manage. But the settings aspect and logs, the users cannot see this because this is something that the administrators are going to mess with that. They're not going to. At least that's the feedback that we've been getting from other demos and other people that we've been showing it to. Their users don't really log into the system. So with the context backgrounds and ringtones management was just something that we added for just, to make it easier and more customizable for users. You want to put a picture of your kids on your phone, well, just upload a background.
Okay, this might be a good point to just bounce in and just ask you to run through the list of devices that you currently do support within Phonism.
Sure.
Because clearly not all of them support color phone backdrops, do they?
You know that you are exactly right, and we detect that. So, for example, the Polycom 320 or 330 model does not support backgrounds, so that's not listed here as an option for the user to do anything with. The 550 though does. Now, currently, we support Polycom phones only with this pre-beta release. And we are most likely we support the SPIP family. Now we are building the platform to be as generic as possible. Our other developer, Bill, and we also have another guy, Elliot. They're very data-driven guys, and they work with big data. So we are making the next the post-beta version is going to be generic, where it's not we're going to be able to support any kind of phone, any kind of endpoint. It doesn't really matter what kind of configuration file you have or whatever, as long as you support a provisioning server to get your configuration, we'll be able to support you. So, but right now, at this point in time, yes, it's only Polycom right now.
Okay. By the way, if you're done with the demo and screen share, you can toggle that off so we can see you.
Yeah, sure.
Let's make sure there's no question. Are there any questions that didn't
Do you
get
guys have
answered
any
yet?
other question about the product or the interface or?
Yeah. So apart from the Polycom devices, what other devices do you support?
No, right now it's just Polycom. We will be adding support for other brands and other devices soon. So our beta is coming out with Polycom support, and we'll be adding other brands right after that. As we pick
That's
up.
a bit of a challenge for those of us who are not Polycom shops. But
yes,
oh, sure, and we realize that.
Of course, yeah, that definitely is, and we realize it, and we're working hard towards supporting the other brands as well.
So what you need then is lots of people like Ditrium to send you lots of gear so that you can get it plugged in.
That's correct. We would like to get a lot of gear and be able to test with that and integrate with it. That's correct. We're definitely looking for partners.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
obviously we want to partner with all these manufacturers, but the reason why we only support Polycom right now is because we've been focusing on building the back end of the system.
That's right.
And the way that Phonism is built, it's going to be extremely easy to add other brands or other models.
Right. We'll have custom configuration fields. Let's say, we were showing you the edit screen for the phones, okay? Let's just go back to that real quick. Okay, so let's say that your company wants the user to edit another field. Okay, you have dial plan here, NAT options. Well, what about BLF? Okay, that's a good example because a lot of people use BLF, right? Well, BLF isn't currently visible here, but we're building it to where you, as an administrator, a technical user that knows about provisioning, that knows what your users use, what features, you'll be able to add those custom fields into the UI without having to go back to and do a feature request for, well, you know what, guys, I would use your system if you supported busy lamp field. Well, what we're shooting for is to where you can create you can define what fields you want to configure. Now that is not going to be available in beta. Just let me be clear. But that's what we're going for. That's on our roadmap for sure. Because there's so many different configuration variables. I mean, if you just take all these different phones and all these different models, and you try to be meticulous about which setting is this user going to use, and which setting is that just doesn't scale. You have to have something where users can have the power to define that as well, and that's what we're hoping for. That's what we're shooting for. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got another one here, which we kind of discussed a little bit on the IRC Backchat channel, and that is it'd be really useful to have some kind of management interface that, say, looks
An
at
API.
No, looks at the link quality or call quality from the endpoints. So possibly monitoring the RTCP and giving you some kind of indication of where the issues are, so you can see where your problem handsets are.
Yeah, that's actually a great suggestion. That would be very useful, and that's something that we would be able to build into the agent.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward to do. I mean, we implemented something that does that a while ago, and it's extremely useful, particularly in the mobile environment where you've got people using any kind of Wi-Fi they can get their hands on, and sometimes it can be a bit dodgy. It's really good to know which calls were slightly dodgy and where they were at the time.
Cool. Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, and Skype does a similar sort of thing. I don't know whether you've noticed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. So.
Not sure what John Bela wanted to. You wanted to share a screen, John, and you're having problems, or what was that about?
Yeah, come in. Go on. Oh, there you are.
Apparently, I'm having some sort of lockup has happened. I'm using Firefox on Windows 7, and it has stopped my video, at least from what I can see. But
we can see just fine.
Yeah, we can actually.
So you can see me put my thumb up like that. Great.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so now if I go over here to screen share and I select this screen here, share selected window.
There we go.
There we go.
Got it.
Okay.
So here's a thing with a pull down a device, phone groups, all this stuff that we can configure, like groups of phones, different people have different types of phones configured. This is their list of devices they're configuring now. You got to see some Cisco's, Astra, codes, ATAs, and so on. But if I just look at the phones group, which is what we were interested in, maybe pick off, here's a phone that's sitting on the desk right next to me here. So I can change the lines that are on it, user preferences, codecs. Anyway, so this is whatever is built into EasyUs. They didn't do this. They bought it from someone else.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So
what is EasyUs? I've never
that's
heard
what
of
I
it.
asked too. it's a UC, Easy UC E.
Okay.
It's a really bad acronym. It's one of those things you have to know the acronym.
UCE. And
Yeah,
the
easy
E at the
use,
end.
easy use, easy UC.
Easy use.
Use where C is CE. Anyway, these guys are crazy. Anyway, one of the people here thought it would work, and we don't have an integration with Zimbra for our email client, and so the whole idea of this UC thing fell apart on that premise. But we still have 4 campuses and about 200 users, and all the usual configuration stuff you would do on a PBX.
Sure. So this is
groups and so on.
PBX and just a one-in-all system.
User, the idea of it being able to do presence indication across sets, and so they have a a client, Unite client, which you run along with something like Xlate, and it lets you dial from your contacts list. It lets you dial from missed calls. If you know someone's name, you start to type their name, and it suggests whether they're available and whether the devices they have that are available to them can do video or audio, or if they can just do a chat session, and so the stuff all pops up. But one of the things that was in it that I was interested in was the phone configuration, and that's where I came up with the there's a VVX 1500, for instance. Anyway, so I just wanted to say that that's something that I've been using. It's not as convenient as I would like, and it does not handle the TCP UDP forwarders the way we would like them to in the Cisco environment anyway. But now we're starting to get more Juniper routers, and so that it's becoming a more standard thing. We can say, look, it doesn't work for Cisco or Juniper. Go fix it.
Interesting.
And then they do. So, but we've sent them phones and other hardware for them to play with, so that they can get their configuration tool working better. And if you guys are interested in that, we certainly have a pile of phones that are not being used. So, be happy to.
We need to touch base offline.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, anyway, that's what I had to say. So.
All right. Thanks, John.
That's great. Thank you, John.
Yeah, that ESUS thing looks quite handy. Can you just recap again, John, where the big problems with ESUS were?
It was
in two sentences.
It was pitched to the university as something that would do unified communications, thus the name, the VUC. And it doesn't. It would if we had a Microsoft product at the core, or if we had IBM's environment at the core, but we don't. So we have Zimbra, which is close to Microsoft, and so there are these Zimlet applications. There's one that works with Asterisk, for instance, but not with ESUS.
Yeah, one bit of the unified communication constellation that is missing here, obviously, are the mobile endpoints, and everybody these days has lots and lots and lots of them, and configuration of them is challenging and huge amounts of fun. We know because we do it on a daily basis.
Interesting.
Okay, probably about time to wrap this up as far as Phonism goes, unless there are further questions or anything. And if there are, let's hear them now.
Looks like one on Signaling System 7 there from Paul C.
Right.
Can I?
Who was that?
That's me.
Oh, it's Diana.
Yeah, so just my very humble opinion, knowing a bit about SS7. There is no way in hell a network can actually switch from SS7 to SIP, except if they use something like SIP-I, which is actually SS7 encapsulated in SIP. And the whole story with the IMS I do here team is that it's nice and sweet, but doesn't really cover everything that SS1 does. And you have to do so many interconnection tests, and everyone is like so not compatible to everyone else that SS7, I think it's gonna stick around for a long time. And it's not only about, everyone thinks that SS7 is about interconnection between carriers, but SS7 is so very used in the mobile carriers. Like when you have an HLR, a home location registry, talking to the MSC, it's like they use SS7. That's exactly the reason why we started to implement so much about SS7 in 8. And lately, I'm very happy that David is around here. David, are you? We started to fool around with OpenBTS, and I think that in the future solution between OpenBTS and E8 as open source solutions will actually go the prices really down on mobile networks. And that will actually change significantly the mobile market in the way Asterisk actually changed the PBX market. I'm just thinking. Done.
Yeah, and David Burgess agrees with you. I did want to terminate the session in case the people are watching and want to know more about Phonism. Obviously, phonism.com, Phonism.com, right?
That's right. That's right. You can follow us.
I'm sorry, just going to say, I'm sure there's a contact page on there. If there isn't, get one ready quick.
That's right. There's links to our LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter on the homepage as well. And you can email us at info@phonism.com as well.
There you go.
And we're at Phonism on Twitter. So yeah.
Perfect. You know, I looked for that the other day and didn't find it, but I guess it was my bad. Maybe I was spelling it wrong or something.
Yeah, we're following you. So
great. Okay. With that, I'm going to go ahead and end the YouTube broadcast.
Okay, guys.
Out with a little bit
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Thanks,
really
everybody. Thanks, guys. And I look forward to testing your system soon and playing around with it and hearing more of your news. Come on back.
Yeah, thanks. We'd love to come back in the future.
Cool.
Great.
Yeah.
Later.
Thanks. All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Aren't you glad you stayed to the end? Find more at VUC.me.